It's a fist. You know, don't give me this hippie shit. That's what the West is. No blood guilt. I mean, that's a great speech. We all believe that. We all believe that. But the time for that kind of talk is past. What the fuck is that even? ACLU propaganda? The West is built on no blood guilt. It's like, I don't even know where that's coming from. Tell that to them. Tell that to the Zionists. You know, we're Christian. We believe that. Got it. You know, we sort of gotten that down pat we definitely have that solid. What we don't have is sticking up for ourselves. What we don't have is taking our own side. We got the part where we're merciful, charitable, universalist. We don't yet have the part where we're sticking up for ourselves, taking our own side, looking out for our own interests, not being the stupid people. That's the part that we're missing. That's the part where I come in. And maybe I won't take it all the way to the promised land, but I'm the guy that's going to wake people up and get them to think this way. We are a team. We have to be like this. We have to be a rock. We have to be solid, impenetrable, unstoppable. Cannot be infiltrated. That's how we have to be first. And we can do all that other shit. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to take a look. Okay, we are not going to take a look at our super chats. We're going to get into this Ukraine peace deal. Then we're going to look at our super chats. Okay, but that's some heart. Maybe we need a shirt that's like a Groiper fist. That might be a good merch because that is our symbol. It's about power. Okay, this is about throwing our weight around. This is about getting shit done. This is about victory. Okay, it's about pounding our fist on the table and saying, Mr. Carlson, we want our country back. Okay, Mr. Colby, Mr. Vance, we want our damn country back. We are defiant. We are in opposition. All right. Okay, Ukraine deal. Someone says fix your hair. Thanks for the heads up. I didn't put any gel in it, so it's a little crazy. Good catch. All right. Featured story. We're going to get into the Ukraine peace deal. And like I said, I don't believe that this really represents a huge breakthrough, but we'll work through it. Trump has proposed a 28-point plan to end the war in Ukraine. And some believe that this is the most promising attempt to resolve the conflict yet. There seems to be buy-in from Russia. They seem to be seriously considering the deal. And it seems that Kiev and Washington have come to an agreement because up until this point, it has really been a four-way diplomacy. It has been a four-way diplomacy between Moscow, Kiev, NATO. So you could say whether that's Paris or Brussels or wherever, but NATO and the European Union and Washington. And why is it four-way? Because each of the four parties wants something different. Russia is fighting their battle. Ukraine is fighting the battle against Russia. The Europeans want to continue supporting Ukraine in their battle. The United States wants it to end. Wants to bring a war to the end. Wants to bring the war to an end. Maybe closer actually to Russia's terms than NATO or Ukraine's terms. And so it's been a four-way diplomacy. It's been just as difficult, in other words, to bring Putin to the bargaining table as much as it is to get Kiev and the rest of Europe that way. Because Trump has made overtures to Russia throughout the year. He has normalized diplomatic relations, opened up communications with Russia. He has really rolled out the red carpet for Putin and for the Russian foreign ministry, and they have innovated. They've come up with new ideas to end the conflict. And each time that Trump attempts to make an overture like this, we get Zelensky coming to the White House with the cadre of European diplomats in tow, in solidarity. You get the NATO Secretary General, you get Macron, you get the British PM, you get the German, you get the Italian PM. They are all coming in tow to stand with Ukraine, really against Trump, leveraging him to take a harder line against Russia. So it's juggling. It really is a juggling act. Ukraine is dependent on the United States, but the United States doesn't want to alienate Europe. also wants to present a united front. At the same time, Washington wants to give more concessions to Russia than the rest of them do, and Russia wants to extract as much from the United States as possible. So they're leaning into the division, exploiting that tension. And so this has been the rhythm, this has been the tempo of negotiations for the past year, and with little success. The dynamic on the battlefield is very simple. Russia is winning. It has become almost fully a drone conflict. The first couple of years, the conflict was artillery, it was mechanized infantry. In the early stages, it was armor and mechanized infantry making rapid advances. Then it became artillery warfare, trench warfare, like World War I. And then in the past year, 2 years, it became a full-on drone conflict, and there's a drone arms race in drone production, in drone tactics, in drone supply chains. And Russia has been they have had the advantage in that loop of developing new tactics and technology and a greater production capacity. And so Russia has been winning the war. They've been on the edge of the technology. They have the advantage in production. And what's more, they have the advantage in manpower. And the reality is that over 4 years almost of conflict, Russia has thrown hundreds of thousands of soldiers at this, and they're making slow gains, but they are breaking down the entrenched, fortified Ukrainian defenses. And the Ukrainians have been in retreat. Recently, the Russians had a major victory at Pokrovsk, a very important city. There's now only 2 major cities left in Donetsk that they have yet to capture. And once they've done that, then they own the entire oblast. Then the Ukrainians have no defensive fortifications. It's a race to the Dnieper River. Arguably, then the conflict is over. This has sort of been the idea. And Russia's been making advances. They're preparing for a winter offensive. And it seems that Russia's been stringing the United States along. The United States realizes the reality on the ground, which is, one, Ukraine has this unsolvable manpower problem. The front line is big, the line of contact is very long, and it's getting very thin. Ukraine does not have the ability to train up reinforcements, and they don't have enough of them. So they have a very thin, sparse line of contact. The soldiers that they are reinforcing the front line with are inexperienced, low morale, a lot of desertions. And so this is on a long enough timeline, this is a losing war of attrition between a very large country and a much smaller country. The other reality for the United States is that we are gearing up to be prepared to encounter China in Taiwan by 2027. We need to be ready, and we need to focus on that in terms of our supplies, in terms of missile defense, regular missiles, in terms of military production. We really need to be focused on defending the island chain in Taiwan, which is a whole different kind of theater. And so we need to be all in on that. We should have made that shift years ago. So we're behind the ball. We can't keep giving Ukraine $10 billion a month to fund their defense, which is inevitably going to fail against Russia. So this is why the United States has been saying, we just want to freeze the line of contact. Russia, sadly, we're going to have to give them what they've taken. We're going to have to legitimize their war of expansion, and we're going to have to accede to their demands. Ukraine's not going to join NATO. Not going to happen. Ukraine's never going to get back Crimea. They're never going to get back their lost territory. They're going to have to shrink their army. The United States cannot have a military there. Like, all of this is sort of inevitable. And Russia knows that. And Russia's been exploiting the divisions there. It's just about the United States bringing the Europeans and Ukrainians to heel while also increasing the pressure on Putin so that it's more costly to continue the war, or rather to continue the war than to end the war. This is kind of how this arrangement has come together. And so it seems that the White House is dug in its heels. They're not going to give Ukraine any more aid. They're going to do certain things to increase pressure on Russia without really bailing out Ukraine. And like I said, that achieves the effect of imposing costs on Russia in the form of secondary sanctions, threatening long-range missile strikes, maybe other covert operations. At the same time, They're not really going to rebuild Ukraine's armed forces. We're not going to institute a no-fly zone. We're not going to allow European forces in Ukraine. And so this is where we are. And maybe this is why there is the best prospect for peace all of a sudden. Trump has proposed this plan. Like I said, it's been reviewed by Kiev. This is the latest on it from Axios. It says, quote, President Trump said on Tuesday that he will only meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian President Putin when the parties get closer to an agreement on ending the war. Trump initially set Thanksgiving as the deadline for getting Ukraine to sign on to his peace plan, but as the negotiations caught steam, he seems open to allowing more time for talks. As always, the deadlines mean nothing. Trump told reporters on Tuesday evening aboard Air Force One en route to Florida that he doesn't have a firm deadline for reaching a deal. He said, over the past week, my team has made tremendous progress with respect to ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. The original 28-point peace plan, which was drafted by the United States, has been fine-tuned with additional input from both sides, and there are only a few remaining points of disagreement. The Secretary of the Army, who held talks with Russian officials in Abu Dhabi on Tuesday, will hold another meeting with the Ukrainians. Trump wrote, I look forward to hopefully meeting with President Zelensky and Putin soon, but only when the deal to end this war is final or in its final stages. Yeah, good luck with that. Zelensky pushed to get a meeting with Trump in Mar-a-Lago this week, possibly during Thanksgiving, but the White House was hesitant to extend the invitation before it sees the Russian reaction to an amended 19-point peace plan. So, and this is so typical. This is why I'm a little bit more pessimistic than what some of the analysts would have you believe. They're saying a breakthrough is imminent. The Russians have received the proposal warmly. The Ukrainians are agreeing to it. This happens every time, which is that both Putin and Zelensky, they're stringing this guy along. And so they go to the White House and they meet with him. Zelensky goes and he meets with him and agrees to nothing. He still has more demands. And Putin goes to Alaska and meets with Trump, and there's no agreement, and there's no intention to make an agreement. And they tell him, oh, we're going to make a deal anytime now. Oh, yeah, like this looks really good. How many times have we done this? And each time we walk away empty-handed. You had Rubio and Lavrov meet in Riyadh earlier this year, walk away with nothing. You had Trump meet Zelensky at the White House multiple times. They walk away with nothing. No collective security, no security assurances, nothing. They're not even on the same page. You have these phone calls with Putin, talks about yet another meeting in Hungary. They're stringing him along, buying more time. Russia wants more time to take more territory while stalling or forestalling more pressure from the United States. And Zelensky wants to keep making appearances at the White House to keep the morale up. He wants to squeeze everything he can out of the United States, get more commitments. He knows it's a losing battle, but that is what he wants. And each time that Trump fails at this, each time that it falls through, Trump comes back with more fake threats. So you have deadlines for negotiations and deadlines for threats, and they never mean anything. If we don't have an agreement within the next 2 weeks, then this is going to happen. Scratch that, the next week. Then nothing happens. The deadline is not enforced. Happened in August. Trump said, if we don't have an agreement, or maybe September, if we don't have an agreement in 2 weeks, I'm going to put sanctions on India. I'm going to tariff India until they stop receiving oil from Russia. And then he bails. 2 days before the deadline says, well, we'll give them another month. We'll give India a month to decide what they want to do. And same with this. They have until Thanksgiving to make an agreement. Oh, it didn't happen by Thanksgiving? Well, you could have another week. So Trump has effectively become a non-factor in these negotiations. Putin does not take him seriously. And that's because he doesn't follow through on his words. There's no strategy. It's all tactics. Short-term commitments, short-term timelines, deadlines, these gestures, threats that are all empty, that are all idle. And Putin knows that. He's been around the block, and he was there the first time. The only thing that is going to end this war, it's very simple. Increase the pressure on Putin, pull the rug out from under Zelensky.